Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS. Fans, brews, and Broncos news. Good evening, Broncos Country. How are we all doing tonight? I am glad to be with you here on another episode of Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS. We got Jared and David. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing 11-2. That's how I'm doing tonight.
Good to hear, man. What? You confused by something?
No, let's just continue. No. Let's just see how this goes for us all.
The cheese on the head. I just want to make sure you guys see how ridiculous it looks to put cheese on your head, and how goofy people look with that. What doesn't look goofy is this. This is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with this, right? I just want to air that out there.
You're making choices.
Yeah, choices are being made. Yeah.
And it started with the wearing of actual cheese on the head, and it kind of just kept going from there. It still doesn't make you look any taller, I'm afraid, Kev.
Right. Yeah. Weirdly, string cheese doesn't add inches to the vertical height.
If you lay it horizontally, especially, that's
yeah. You got to maybe if you try to like balance it, and it also maybe if it was like a piece of Gouda, we would have noticed earlier, like something a little bit more. That's what it was.
Glue. We're gonna get some hot glue, and we're gonna get you fixed up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, the Cheeseheads are coming to town, and the Packers fans travel well. It's going to be a really interesting game this weekend because both teams have a lot to play for. The Packers on a 4-game win streak, and the teams they play, I mean, wins are wins, and either way, they're looking good. But Broncos, if you guys haven't kept track of this, 2 weeks ago, the Broncos hit 10 wins on the season. Last week, we hit 10 wins in a row. And a win this Sunday would mean 10 home game wins in a row. So I don't know how much more of a Bo Leaf kind of trifecta you could put together for that, guys.
Yeah. It's going to be theater. Like we have so much fun. This game is going to be so much fun. Like, we'll get into whether or not I think the Broncos match up well with the Packers, but just on a general basis, I think it's fair to say this game is going to be a ton of fun to watch. Excuse my cat. And we're gonna come out of this game feeling good about our football team. I really, really think that. I think we're kind of, I don't want to say been sleepwalking through these past 2 games. But the Broncos have put together the game plans they need to win those games. That's what they've done. They haven't done anything flashy, but they've done enough both weeks to win games that they should win on the road. Now you get to come home and start the meat of your schedule heading into the playoffs and test yourself against some of the best teams in the NFL. And like I said, I just think we're going to come out of that testing feeling confident about this team.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think a lot of this, what's most impressed me about the entire season this year has been week after week. Not so much that it's been close games, right? Obviously, that's important, right? It's not so much the 10-game win streak that we're on. What's impressed me the most is that each and every week, our coaching staff has figured out how to attack the other team. And it doesn't matter what their record is. We have to figure out how to beat the other side. And what we did against the Raiders, while again, wasn't flashy, we had 6 total drives. 6 total drives in the entire game. But we took 8 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes off the clock the entire time. What are you, David?
No, you're good. You're good. It's a comment. You're good. Keep going.
The comment. Keep going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry. So the problem there is what I really like about the coaching staff is that we're attacking exactly what we need to do and exactly what we need to attack per team. We're not doing this like, this is our game, stop it. We're going in there and we're being like, hey, we know what your game is. And I actually saw a breakdown, something that I do want to talk about in the game before. I saw a breakdown before we came on, and it was talking about, it seemed like Bo Nix, there was a lot of like drop-off passes for him. And he was getting a lot of yards, and he's like, it wasn't screens, but it was a lot of drop off. Like, why do we keep dropping off? Well, if you looked at the defense that the Raiders were playing, they were carrying their corners carried so deep, 10 to 12 yards deep, to where he was so wide open. There was 5 yards on either side of him. Of course, you're going to drop it off and get 5 to 10 yards every time, and give your playmakers the ability to go one-on-one with one of those corners. I dare you. Right? So why not? Why wouldn't we do that? And that's what we did the entire game. And then systematically drove the ball down the field. I got to look at the time possession. It's one thing I wanted to look up before it came on. I didn't because I'm bad at this. But I want to look at the time of possession because we just absolutely dominate on that.
And it's so cool to see us win that way. It's another way to see the Broncos win a football game this year, and especially with J.K. Dobbins sitting on the sideline injured. It is so cool to see R.J. Harvey step in and really take command of that running back room and say, I can take the burden on my shoulders. I can handle the majority of carries. If you give me 15 to 20 carries every game, I can make things happen with it. I can make us successful in the run game, and I can grind out tough yards. He did all of those things on Sunday, and it was really, really encouraging to see him, especially in the red zone, guys. Having another reliable weapon in the red zone at any position is really, really important. And RJ Harvey evolving into that kind of player at the end, toward the end of the season here, is really, really impactful for the team.
Yeah. Guys, just a couple comments here that answer some questions. So yes, if we win this Sunday, we are in the playoffs.
Yes,
we'll have
that's
to wait
right.
for the AFC West clinching, all that stuff, AFC champion, all that stuff. But what that ties to is what you guys are alluding to in terms of the Broncos. It doesn't matter if they've won 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever in a row, and I'm starting to lose count here. They go into every game simultaneously knowing what it is they're playing for, but recognizing that week they're 0-0.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter what they did before. This is a new team, and it goes back to every team right now wants to beat the Broncos. It doesn't matter how bad they are, how good they are. This is the team to beat. We have a target on our back, and they're going to go out there and bring their A game and try to do something to throw us off. Right. And so it was really cool from this last week to see the Broncos go in there, that game opening drive, just like we were talking about, just death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Ate up 9 minutes of the first quarter. I mean, absolutely, or maybe it was, something like that.
It was 9 minutes.
Ridiculous. And then to see, okay, the defense, not a great first drive, right? But what you saw there was an adjustment from Vance Joseph immediately following that first drive to, instead of bringing 4, they put 5 on the line and brought 5 or 6 consistently the rest of the game. So these guys, they're adapting on the fly, and they're playing really hard all game long, right? So I like where these guys are standing, and we can talk about what that means going into this next week's game. But you're talking about RJ Harvey. We can talk about Nick Benito, Talanoa Hufanga, Alex Singleton, all these different players that are stepping up. Marvin Mims with that huge punt return, just beautiful to see. It's like everybody recognizes the moment that they're in, and they're stepping up, from experienced players to young players.
Yeah. So there's two pieces I want to say. Almost 40 minutes to 20 minutes of time of possession for the Broncos last game. 40. That's at least. I mean, just do math. David, stop me if hold on.
Good. Yes.
Okay, there's a lot more. It's at least 2/3. I think it's three quarters of the game. We had the ball and we were driving on offense. So the other piece, and I think you mentioned this, both you guys kind of mentioned it, but RJ Harvey, it says rushed 13 times. I'm showing he rushed 16 times. But of those 13 times, or of those 16 times he rushed, 13 of them were against the stack box.
Yeah.
Which means 8 defenders in the box, and 10 of them were successful. So that means they only stopped him 3 times of not getting at least 4 yards. That's good. Successful run is a 4-yard run. Anything after that is, extra numbers. But you're expecting 4 yards every time you run the ball. At 4 downs, you get 4 yards every time. You're good. Anyways, well, yeah, it works out. So. So really what's really cool about it is that the team came out and they executed a game plan almost to perfection. And I thought Bo Nix was going to kind of give him some props too. Everybody was like, he didn't put up great numbers. He's not putting up the Josh Allen numbers that everybody wants him to put up, but it's okay. He was decisive, and he was delivering the football when he needed to deliver the football. And that's what we need from him. and he was putting it exactly where it needed to be when it needed to be there. And I hats off to I think that was one of Bo Nix's better games this year.
Coach Payton said they called 7 shot plays in the course of the game, and the Raiders, to their credit, in the Pete Carroll defense, did a good job of taking away those plays deep. And Bo Nix didn't try to force anything downfield. He took what the defense gave him. He played within the game plan. They did enough to win the game and then some. It felt to me like the offense had another gear that it could at least try to access if it really wanted to against this Raiders defense, and they just didn't feel the need to go that extra speed for sustained lengths of the game, because their run game was working really well, and so was the underneath passing game. So yeah, I don't really have any complaints to make about Bo Nix's stats here, even though the game wasn't his flashiest from that perspective, to be sure. Yeah, and let's see. We've got a question from James here. If we'll get Ben Powers back, that would help the run game even more. They did target him as a potential December return if he was going to be able to make it back this year. We are obviously in the month of December, but there are still 4. Yes, Jared, I know you have the abacus handy, the calendar. We still got to get one for the desk. I know. Work in progress. Work in progress. But so we are in a month where we could see Ben Powers return. Doesn't obviously sound like he'll be returning to practice this week against the Packers, but we've got games against the Jaguars, the Chiefs, the Chargers coming up. To get healthy in general and to stay healthy is as important as anything, guys. Going into these final games, it's as important as whether or not your quarterback takes a step forward, because right now everybody in the NFL is hurt. Everybody in the NFL is hurt to some degree. It's just a question to what degree. And I think we saw Kansas City have to go into that game against the Texans without 3 offensive linemen. We saw Justin Herbert get smacked around by the Eagles defense last night. He got out of that game, but that offensive line is in tatters, and they've got to face the Texans and us before the season goes out. It's just a game of attrition now as much as anything. I think the Broncos are in good shape. Knock on wood there, because it's a really, really deep team. We just have to have them hold out now. It's just about getting out of these games healthy as it is anything else. And they did a good job of that on Sunday, at least.
And I think that's why you maybe didn't see that extra gear. Could they have tried to put up 35 points on? Yeah, very easily, right? But I think it was just a very much, look, we go play a solid game, protect the football, take these long drives just to eat up clock, just to get out of here healthy, right? Let's not risk it, right? The games to risk it are coming up starting this weekend. These games, the next 4 games, I really believe are going to come down to the fourth quarter. We're going to have to take chances, and we're going to have to find that next gear to maybe put some of these guys away. But this was not that game, right? So, I think it's very well coached in that aspect as well. These coaches, Sean Payton and his staff, they're cognizant of the situation they're in, and they recognize they don't have just 4 games left on the schedule. They have at least 5, maybe 6, 7, maybe even 8, right? Like, there's still a lot of football potentially to be played here. So let's be careful with what we're doing, but at the same time, demonstrate we can go out there and not play down to the level of the team, but just play really solid, smart football that doesn't put our guys in an unnecessary risk.
There's one thing that I'm going to say, and we're all talking. Obviously, we're an 11-2 team. I can't say a bunch of negative stuff, but I can say things like that tick me off a little bit. And one of them is that I don't think we got to Geno Smith as much as we wanted to, and not just not just Geno Smith, but Kenny Pickett as well. I just don't feel like there's some plays where he had a lot of time back there. Granted, we were only rushing 4, which is fine, but normally we're used to rushing 4 and at least getting some sort of pressure to where that deep ball is rushed. We didn't see that in that game, and against the team that has led up the most sacks in the league. And maybe that's just, props to the Raiders offensive line for, planning against what we needed to do. But you saw us rush 4 against 5 on the offensive line, and we just weren't getting the pressure. You saw them holding us back pretty often, in that there was a few times I was like, normally we're used to seeing a little bit more pressure there, and I'm surprised that he had time to stand in that pocket. But again, we win. At this point, I'm just being nitpicky, but I'd like to see that get turned around a little bit more from Nick Bonito and Cooper on the outside. And something as we'll talk about in the second half of this episode is we're going to need a little bit more to keep Jordan Love inside the pocket, and to also make sure that he has a little bit of pressure on him, because if he can sit back there, it's going to be a long day.
But if you think about it, and I agree with you completely there, but isn't it amazing to be sitting in this position going into week 15 and we have to be nitpicky? There's no major flaws. The penalties the last 2 weeks in a row have been substantially less, right? We're protecting the football. We're doing all these other things right. It's like there's nothing really else to talk about other than these nitpicky things. And for a team in their second year of a rebuild that is clearly 3 or not 4 years ahead of schedule, I would say at this point, the way they're playing and racking up wins, it's a really good position to be in, that we have to sit here and in order to fill time, we're not talking about, the offense just cannot do anything or the defense just is screwing up left and right and turnovers, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, what really is something that we could critique? And it's like, maybe this, maybe that. Like, this is a really good for us to be in.
I love watching the national media start actually looking at Denver now and being like, okay, maybe they're a little bit, even after a Raiders game and talking about it's the Raiders, they're going to lose, it's going to happen, that's how this season's going for them. But even after the last couple of games that they've seen, they're like, you know what? There's a number one in the AFC. And there's no doubt about that. The stats don't lie, and the numbers don't lie. We're number one in the AFC, and maybe they have a shot of going deep. And I'm starting to see some clips, and maybe it's because my algorithm on Facebook and Instagram is showing me a bunch of Broncos stuff that they want me to see. But I'm seeing national media talking heads talking about hey, I see the Broncos being in the Super Bowl this year. And that's something that, at the beginning of the season, in the offseason, not a damn person was saying that the Denver Broncos are capable of making a deep playoff run. Now everyone's looking at it might be a deep playoff run for the Denver Broncos if they can stay healthy.
Well, they have to start acknowledging us now. We're looking at a playoff picture where it's not guaranteed that Lamar Jackson is in. It is more likely than not that Patrick Mahomes is out. The Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen are going to get in, but as a wild card, it looks like. And the top teams in the AFC, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, the New England Patriots, all of these teams have, on paper at the very least, some sort of a flaw that makes you go, man, this is the field. When you take a step back and you look at it all and you're like, wow, this is a weird year in the AFC playoff picture. And that, as much as anything, gives the Broncos as good a chance as anybody in the game. And so I am really, really fascinated to see how far they can go doing what they're doing right now. Because I think they can beat the Packers, guys. I think they're going to beat the Packers. If they don't beat the Packers, they're going to play the Packers incredibly close. I'm just really, really fascinated to see where this can all end up.
And you know what I love about that AFC playoff picture? I love and hate it as an offensive guy. It's all defensive teams. Look at the Texans. Even the Patriots. Look at the Steelers. These are all teams that are doing well, and none of the quarterbacks. You can make a case for Bo Nix. You can make a case for Drake May as being okay, they have these long-term quarterbacks, but the rest of them you're looking at and you're the only reason they're in the spot that they're in is because their defense is doing really well, and we had that the entire season. Everyone's saying the same thing. The Houston Texans are the same way. They bounced around quarterbacks. Some people think David Sills was better when he was in. And so, but you're looking at these teams. You're like you said. There's no Pat Mahomes. There's no Lamar Jackson. Right? You can talk about Josh Allen and we're gonna have these Joe Burrows. Right? We're gonna have this big shootout of quarterbacks. No, this is gonna be okay, what defense is gonna be the one that steps up and absolutely destroys the other team? It's actually kind of cool in the AFC to see it that way and see the thought turn in the AFC going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think one thing that, you talk about just these guys playing for each other. And I've mentioned it before, but I think it's really a storyline that we should all be closely monitoring throughout the rest of the season going into the playoffs here. The story of not just Alex Singleton and what he's faced this year, but Courtland Sutton and Garrett Bowles. And, how much respect I have for those two players to have stuck around all those years where things just – they looked like they were going to get worse before they got better, and then they got worse. It looked like it was going to get even worse from there before it got better, and it just kept going down that path. Bad news after bad news after bad season, and they decided to stick around. I think they could have very easily said, "I need to go somewhere where I have a chance to win a championship." but they decided that they were going to be, loyal for whatever reasons they decided to stay in Denver and stick it out. They're seeing that play out now, and the rest of the team sees this. And these guys, they don't have that many years left in their career, right? They're not going to get 4 or 5, more solid chances like this. Like, this could be one of their last major chances. So to have these guys already just having each other's backs and playing for each other, leadership on this team, they're looking to those guys and saying, hey, we want to help get these guys to the peak, get them to the pinnacle of their career before it's too late. And they recognize their position there. So when Sean Payton says these guys know what they're playing for, I think it's that statement goes beyond just, we know we're playing for the number 1 seed, right? They know what and who they're playing for. And when you have a storyline like that, when you have a team that's really coalescing around somebody like that, I mean, how many championship teams in any major sport in history do you look back and there's some sort of storyline there that just gives those guys an extra oomph behind them to find that extra gear and get them to where they're going. So I'm just saying, yeah, I could be a storyteller if you want, but that's seriously something that I'm looking for as we continue this journey.
And to your point, Ken, there was an interview with Evan Ingram, right? And they were talking about, like, when he was in Jacksonville, he was kind of a diva about not getting the ball. And it is what it is, right? And they interviewed him here, and he was like, look, I don't care. Like, he's had a couple of great games. He's been a leading receiver in probably 2 or 3 games this year, and he's gotten a couple of great drives in him that have really helped us out. But there's games that he has like 1 reception. There was one game he had 7 targets and like 0 receptions or something like that. But he's not out there complaining. He's like, I do it because as long as we keep winning and as long as the guys around me are doing well, as long as the team's doing well, then we're doing our job regardless of what I get. The stat line that I have will follow as long as the team's doing well. And that's a culture it's hard to build. And Sean Payton's turned it around in 2 years. It really won if you look at last year, but he's really turned it around to like everybody in the building's on the same page. And it's great to see.
Yeah, and it's comes through in every level of the defense and the offense and the special teams, right? It just feels like everybody's out there playing for each other at all times and everybody's accountable to each other. And that, the most important thing, like you said, Jared, is not going out there and compiling stats. The most important thing is playing for each other, because that's how they know they've gotten to this point so far. It's how they know they've gotten to 11 wins on the season so far, and it's how they're going to accomplish whatever they accomplish going into the postseason.
It's funny. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna butcher who it was, but I'm not a big baseball fan watcher. But there was a baseball person that said, do you track the stats? Like, you're gonna beat this stat or whatever. And he was like, look, as long as I go out there and I have fun and I enjoy the game I'm playing, the stats will follow. And my CEO, right, he says it all the time when we talk about like what we're doing on the ship. And shout out to him for saying this. But that's kind of the thought process and what we're seeing in the Denver Broncos, which is so cool. Like, Bo Nix doesn't care if he goes out there. The only people that care are the talking heads. The only people that care are the correspondents. Like, yeah, well, Bo Nix didn't put up 300 yards this year, so they're not going to go anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter if Bo Nix puts up 300 yards as long as we get the win, the defense, and everyone's playing on the same team. We didn't need to score 3 times on offense. The special teams did one of them for us. Right? So it's nice. It's nice that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. It's a pretty complete team, from what we said. When they're all three phases of the game are playing well, it's kind of like, who can stop us, right? And so before we get into this question here of who are the threats on Green Bay, I think we just looking at the Broncos. I don't think there's anyone in general, for the rest of the season or who we play in the playoffs. And like Jonathan Cooper said several weeks ago, who are we scared of? Right? There's they've beat everybody that they said they were going to lose to. The 2 games they've lost, basically Super Bowl contenders. I mean, the Colts, that's a storyline. I am excited to see what a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers looks like going out on the field. I don't know if they're going to let him go out there with his, walker, or if he has to leave that on the sideline. But that's going to be interesting to see. Either way, like, we lost to 2 good teams, and it came down to the last play, right? So the Broncos know how to close out games. I think it was good almost that they felt that sting of defeat, early in the season, to really emphasize what it takes to close out games and how that's really played out over the past 10 wins in a row, 11 wins in a row, whatever we're at. And so it's crazy stuff. So I want to ask you guys before we go into halftime here. So leaving the Raiders game behind, any other like takeaways, big picture things you saw that positive, maybe some concerns, or just it's hard to say concerns right now, but whether it's a player or something that stood out to you, like what was a defining moment for you in that game?
David, else should take this one because I got to think about it.
Okay.
Processing.
I have to say it was gonna be watching RJ Harvey pass protect against Max Crosby.
Oh, there you go.
In the red zone. I don't even think they scored on the play that I'm remembering. But I do remember RJ just sticking his head in there, doing his best, putting himself on the line, and actually doing enough to impede Max Crosby, like not failing in that rep. Like I would say I would go as far as to say he won the rep. So yeah, it was just another hallmark of the evolution that he showed this year as a player, and really good thing, really encouraging to see.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning of the episode, which is Bo Nix's ability to be decisive. And obviously his footwork was a lot better. Even when he was pressured, he got out of it, and he was still making solid. He actually threw the ball out of bounds, like threw it away a couple times, which is something new for him. And so just his decisive, and again, we talked about Sean Payton at the end of the game saying that he called a couple deep shots, and we didn't take them because Bo saw the coverage and took the out, which kept drives alive, right? The ability to keep the drives alive, and 40 minutes to 20 minutes of time of possession. You can't beat that, and it's all because Bo Nix was decisive. He was making the throws that he needed to make, and he wasn't making errors, which was all you can ask for a quarterback at this level.
Yeah. David, when you started saying RJ Harvey, I thought you were going to take mine. That really good play from RJ Harvey there. I think you look back at RJ Harvey, this is his third start, or third time as a starter, and I think he's gotten better every single week. And his first run, what was it, third down, right? He almost gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage by Max Crosby, finds a way to keep his center of gravity and keep his balance, and finds a way to get those 6 yards. And a couple times through the game, he plowed through some people, right? And it wasn't, I'll pay into the jar. Again, Jared, I know this is like twice in a week I'm going to have to do it. It's not totally Javonte Williams-esque, but it's the closest thing we've seen to that since we had Javonte Williams in his first year. So again, if we can get RJ Harvey just even more experience, even more confidence, and I think there's just more trust around him to be able to make some of those big plays. But he's showing really good decision making and really good blocking. He's patient. He's waiting for the lanes to open up, and it's not taking just one hit to bring him down. Right? He is explosive. He's fast. And so you can talk about him and all three running backs. You use them in the passing game too, right? Very versatile. So I think RJ Harvey is just impressing me week by week even more.
And another thing I want to say about RJ Harvey, just because again, let's just sing his praises for this week. And he didn't rush over 100 yards, but he did exactly what he needed to do against stacked boxes, which is more than you can ask for. But he has explosiveness on the line when he sees an open hole. And if he didn't get tripped up by the linebacker on that one, like he hit that so fast. Like I remember watching it and being like, I didn't think you could change direction as fast as he did to explode up the middle. If he didn't get tripped up, he would have been gone. And that's one play that would have made a big difference in the game. But obviously we didn't need it. Either way, you saw it, and you're seeing these things in him, and he's starting to get the game slowing down for him. And we have to remember he's a rookie. And in his third start, getting a lot more touches, and it's getting better week by week. It's something that we saw from Bo last year. Week by week, he was getting better, and you're just going to see this from RJ Harvey going forward. And Kev, we'll have that conversation. We could probably a little bit later have that conversation about what does that mean for J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, I think that's maybe a little bit closer to the offseason conversation, but that's something we need to talk about.
Yeah, if he keeps out on this pace, it's going to be a real honest conversation, because we'll talk about it later, guys. So just stick around, keep coming back to the shows, and you'll hear that topic be brought up at a later time. But we are about to transition officially into week 15. It is halftime here at Bourbon Broncos No BS on the Tuesday night show, meaning this is when the whole NFL starts officially transitioning over, because everything revolves around us. But while these guys, refresh their glasses and all that stuff, Guys, make sure you tune in to the pregame podcast. Follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. To check that out later on in the week. Game day. We're live 1 hour before kickoff for the live tailgate talk show, and we were live at halftime as well for the halftime hash show as well, the original live halftime show. We did our third installment of the full game live, webcast, you want to call it, their game cast this last Sunday. 3 times we've done that this season. A lot of really good feedback and everything. I think we can only handle 1 away game a month. And I don't know. We'll have to talk about if we're going to do that for any postseason games or not. It's kind of hard for me to not curse and get a little too animated during playoff games. So we'll see how that goes. But either way, guys, the very minimum, you can check us out 1 hour before kickoff, where we do the score prediction challenge. We almost had a winner of a jersey this last week. If you get the score, your score guess correctly in the score prediction challenge, you get a free Broncos jersey of your choice from us. And our guy here in the chat, Mike, just came down to the last seconds for him
that
to
field
win
goal.
Jersey. That dreaded last field goal that we were just hoping the Broncos wouldn't score. And then it was like, Raiders, why would you try to score when you know the game's over, right? So, man, it was so close. But, guys, make sure you join us 1 hour for kickoff for that show to get all of the latest information before kickoff and enter for free into the score prediction challenge. Monday nights, we're live at 8 p.m. Mountain Time for the live post-game podcast show. Make sure you tune in for that. And then this show is live every Tuesday night. This is the show that's been going on for a consistent 10 years, our flagship show here, guys. And so you can count on us to definitely 100% be live at 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Tuesday nights. Lastly, guys, make sure you go check out broncosandbourbon.com. Sign up for free now. One-stop shop to find all of our latest content, our shows, our shorts from YouTube, our podcast episodes. Adam does a great job writing some articles to help break down everything that he's seeing across Broncos country and from the team there. So go over there, sign up for free now. We will be introducing membership tiers later on in the next off season. So if you sign up for free now, you will get upgraded to that first level of membership tier for free, as long as you sign up before the end of the Super Bowl. That's when I'm going to cut it off. So this is the time to get in on the ground floor now, as we're still continuing to build out that website and introduce some more fun things there. But go check that out now and all the content we have with that. Okay, guys, week 15 is here. The Broncos are ready to win their 10th home game in a row. It is against the Packers. Last time Packers were in town, it was a game that came down to the very end. These guys, once you get them in December, they're always dangerous. First off, they're always scary, dangerous to begin with, but especially in December as they're trying to solidify their own playoff spot, they have a lot to play for as well. So I definitely want to go back to this comment, guys, earlier and get your take on it. Obviously we're not afraid of anyone, but looking at the Green Bay Packers and the talent they do have on that team, who are the threats that we need to be really cognizant of and watching for on the field? Maybe a little preview to the pregame podcast.
Yeah, Jordan Love.
Yeah, well, yeah. Go ahead, Derek.
Number one answer.
Yeah, I was just going to say Jordan Love, and with the way that Pat Mahomes has been playing this year, he hasn't been as much of a threat. So you could say, yeah, we played against a guy like Pat Mahomes. Yet we played against the Eagles and we played against a running quarterback. I don't know if we played against a guy like Jordan Love. He's a younger guy. He's able to get out of the pocket. He's able to extend plays on his feet. And that's where we kind of start falling apart. Is we're very good if we can get pressure to the quarterback, limit the offensive play to 6 to 7 seconds so that our DBs can do what they need to do and contain the coverage. As soon as he starts breaking out and extends the play, we're in a little bit of a hurt locker. And we've seen that. And that's just how our defense is set up, which is a good thing. But we have to be able to get to Jordan Love. If Jordan Love is able to extend the play, that's where my concern is going in this game. That's what I'm going to be focusing on through when we talk about the pregame podcast.
David, what you got?
For me, it's a deep defense. It's a defense that's built a lot like ours, just in that they have a lot of guys in the secondary that can play really well. They have a ton of pass rushers led by a superstar in Micah Parsons. They even have a really interesting inside linebacking core. Edgerrin Cooper is a young player who's played really well for them. So yeah, it's just they can come at you a lot of different ways with that defense. They're well coached by Jeff Hafley. That to me is, I mean, it's a good thing the Denver Broncos defense or the Denver Broncos offense practices against the Broncos defense every week, because man, this is going to be one of their tougher defensive tests all year.
Yeah. Yeah, part of it, I think you're just looking for Bo Nix to continue to make those good decisions, right? Being smart with the football, being able to read where the blitz is, if they're blitzing, pick that up, throw to the blitz, all that kind of stuff, change the plays. I think it still goes back to, if I'm going to get nitpicky, I still like to see a little bit more from Bo using his legs, right? I think there was at least one play in this Raiders game where it looked like he could have taken off. I think it was before his first touchdown there. He kind of he stuttered, he thought about it, and then he kind of threw the ball on the way while he was stepping out of bounds, and it didn't work, right? I'd like to see just a little bit more commitment from him to just take that chance, right? It's December, we're getting ready for the playoffs. If the defense is going to give you a lane to run, dude, take it, right? Make them stay honest, make them commit a spy to you to kind of free up maybe another player down the field or something for you to find. I've seen a lot of people commenting on, maybe Bo is still not finding some of the open guys down the field, but at the same time, for me, it's like Bo's doing a really good job of just finding the option. I think, Jared, you were talking about it. He's very confident in the timing, knowing where people are going to be, and kind of taking the words out of your mouth and kind of using them as my own here. Sorry, man. But yeah, just kind of like, hey, Courtland Sutton's down there somewhere, right? Right. But we've seen that before. So in general, like, I think just Bo Nix being able to continue what he's doing, but I think maybe be a little bit more aggressive in certain situations could help out this offense, especially against the defense that's going to be bringing a lot of heat in different ways, like what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, and I'll talk. I'm going to bring up a couple comments here in a second, because I think that these are really important too, and I want to talk about them. But the one thing about Bo Nix is that, yeah, when we're couch quarterbacking, we have to be cognizant of the fact that, like, if we have 4 routes out there, at least one, if not 2 of them, are never going to get looked at. Like, if there's a read progression, because you only have time to read maybe 2 routes and then an outlet, right? And then, so if we have 4 wide receivers and our outlet's the running back, only 2 of those receivers are getting read. So if the guy's open on the opposite side, he's not going. There's no way that the way that the system's set up and the way the timing works, that Bo's going to be able to look back the other side if he's progressing on one side. And that's just, a lot of pieces, and there's only a few quarterbacks that were able to do that. And a lot of it comes down to pre-snap, what they see in the we saw it in Peyton Manning, and obviously we were very blessed to have him through those Super Bowl years. It's hard, right? And as a second-year quarterback, he'll get there. He's reading the defense is fine now, and this is what we need him to do in his progression. And as he's reading the progression, he's getting the progression down. The reading the defense will come. I do agree here with Keith and Victor here, because they both brought up Josh Jacobs, right? Josh Jacobs is he's a good running back. However, they don't have the running game and the running line that the Raiders have when he was giving us issues when he was with the Raiders. I just don't think that they're a run first deep offense, but I do believe that there could be some issues there if they can start getting the run game going. I really see this a Denver Broncos versus Denver Broncos game. The only difference is that their quarterback's a little bit more mobile as far as getting out of the pocket. And even then, you could say Bo Nix has been doing the same thing these last couple of games, is getting out of the pocket and extending plays. I think this is like the same, very similar. It's more of like a pass to set up the run type offense, just like the Denver Broncos are. So, yeah, are we worried about Josh Jacobs? Absolutely. If he could break one, he will. And he's a very strong running back. But I also think we have a much stronger run defense than we have in the past.
Yeah, and it would be great to get DJ Jones back this week. Yeah, that would be a really good player to have. Not sure on his status yet. The Broncos start practicing tomorrow, so we will get a little bit of a better idea of him and his status then. And like Michael says, we're going to probably end up seeing a lot of tight end usage on Micah Parsons, using them to chip. I think Mercedes Lewis had more snaps in this last game than Evan Ingram, if I remember correctly. And that might be a game plan that happens again. We might see him come in and throw his weight around a little bit more with an edge rusher the caliber of Parkins, excuse me.
It's one of those things where we've seen the run game kind of eat us up a little bit throughout the year. Like if there's been some of these games most of these games have come down to the wire, but I'd say a common thread throughout them is the other teams were able to kind of get some sort of run game going against us. And so it's if we can shut that down, and it goes back to just making the Green Bay Packers become one-sided, right? Making them throw the ball like Jordan Love is dangerous, right? He's definitely a guy that you could put the game on his shoulders, but kind of take that option away from them early and say, we're not going to let you run the ball against us. We're going to make you throw and really trust on your secondary between Pat Surtain. I know that I saw a comment earlier on today in the show here and other videos talking about just Pat Surtain, drawing a couple penalties this last weekend. People going like, well, it's not Riley Moss that wasn't drawing the penalties on Sunday. It was Pat Surtain, right? And so what? Like Pat Surtain is obviously he's the defensive player of the year, reigning one for a reason. So I would want them to go ahead and try and test us against our secondary because I think they're going to lose that battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the live stream too, and I'm not worried about the Pat Surtain penalties. One of them was not a penalty. One of them was definitely a penalty. Like, right? You got caught, right? And so, like, sometimes if you ask any DB, you could ask 𝐁𝐫𝐤𝐬 on his podcast, and you can ask him, he's going to be like, yeah, like we commit penalties and just hope we don't get caught sometimes because, like, if we're
almost every snap, yeah.
If I'm out of position, I'd rather hold the dude and get 10 yards than let him up for 80 for the touchdown. So it just happens. And yeah, there was one that was like, okay, yeah, he got a little bit handsy there, but it's fine. The other one was kind of a bullshit call, but that's another story. I do believe our defense is capable and more than capable of defeating us. I think we actually have the edge. And if you tune into the pregame podcast, we break this down a lot deeper into what edge we think we have when we go against. I will also mention, we talked about Micah Parsons. So my brother-in-law is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. And I brought him to the Cowboys game, and it was glorious for me to sit next to him during that Cowboys game and watch us just absolutely manhandle his team. But he was talking about, and he was talking about Micah Parsons, and he obviously was mad that they traded him and all this other stuff. He was like, all you got to do is run the ball at him. Like run the ball at Micah Parsons, and he's not going to do anything, and that's where the weakness is. You got to run the ball at Micah Parsons. I think that's something that obviously the coaching staff's going to look at in the tape and try to take advantage of. He's great in the pass rush, amazing the pass rush, but he's not right. The one thing that I love about Cooper and Bonito is that not only are they good pass rushers, but they can figure out how to fill gaps to stop the run as well, which is why we've been so successful. We don't have just pass rushers. We have pass rushers that can protect the run, which is something that we could probably take advantage of against the Packers.
Yeah, and we've got Jonah Ellis back now. We've got such a deep edge room that a guy who got like really good looks in there while he was playing in Q Robinson can't even get on the field right now. It's such a wealth of riches there. And he's another guy who holds up really well in the run game as well as rushing the passer really well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch because I do think that this game is going to be a defining game for the Broncos. And it kind of goes back to, I would say the Eagles game was kind of the early season, defining moment for this team that really gave them the confidence to say, we could beat anyone in any place at any time. Right.
Yep.
But for these guys to say, hey, we beat the Green Bay Packers in December, solidifying our playoff spot, all that stuff. I think that's just another additional boost that's really going to help them as they continue on because, Ken says, he says he wouldn't be surprised if we lose the next two. I would be. I would be surprised if we lost the next two. I'm not going to say that we're definitely going to win the next two, but I think if we drop this game, it's not the end of the world, right? If anything, maybe just show them, hey, you still got to, you're not guaranteed to win every week, right? And I don't think that's their attitude in any way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, like there's still a lot of football left to be played. But when you see what the Broncos have overcome this year, I don't see there's any reason to go into a game saying we're probably going to lose or there's a chance we could lose. If we lost, it's because we shot ourselves in the foot too many. We beat ourselves, if anything. I don't think anyone's going to outplay us. And, it's just going to be more penalties, dropped passes, those kinds of things that are going to cause us to lose a game. So as long as we continue to do better in the penalties like we've done the last couple games, couple dropped passes, Troy Franklin, man, I love it when he catches one. But it seems like for every catch he has, there's like a drop right after it or right before it, right? So it's like, man, some of these things I'd like to get cleaned up a little bit just to kind of give me a better peace of mind. But at the same time, again, we're getting nitpicky here, guys.
Yeah, so there's so many things I want to talk about. We only have a few minutes left of the show, so stay tuned to the pregame podcast. We talk about a lot of this, but one of them is the Troy Franklin conversation. And I saw a post the other day that was like, Troy Franklin's really good when he's wide open. He's not so good when he's not. And that's something that we have to kind of look at. And the other person that's been very good, regardless of if he's open or not, is Pat Bryant. We got to take a look at who's our true number wide receiver 2 right now, because Marvin Mims seems to kind of not been in the spot for the number 2 wide receiver, which we all kind of thought he was. At least he's not in targets. But the other thing I want to mention too is this is a shitty take, and I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody. This is a shitty take because I hate doing this. But Buffalo plays New England in the morning time slot. And if New England loses that, then I'm not mad if something happens in the afternoon. There's no must-win games here. These are games that we want to win. If we can win one of the next 3 and guarantee our spot in the playoffs. Now, last time we heard that was last year, and we lost 3 in a row. And then we won the final game against Kansas City, but that was just to get in the playoffs. But we need one to get a guaranteed spot in the playoffs. And I think we're good. They play in the morning time slot. They play Buffalo. That is a conference game. That is a big game for Buffalo. And I think it's important. The other cool thing about this is that we're playing in Denver, because if you watched that Chicago game last week, the Chicago Packers game, that looked miserable. It looked cold and awful. And I'm so happy we're playing this in Denver, because that would be miserable to go up there in that like frozen tundra and play some of that crap. But I'm super happy that we're playing there in the afternoon slot.
Yeah. Now, David, let me get your take on this, because talking about Marvin Mims, Coach did say today that he recognizes they need to get Marvin Mims more involved. What does that look like? I mean, we haven't seen that all year, and I don't know if that's play calling. I don't know if that's just him not getting open, Bo not looking at him. But is it worth this late in the season to try to start forcing something that just isn't there? And it's okay. I mean, we've been winning these games without him being there. I'd like to get him more involved, but is it really necessary at this point? And if they try, like, what does that look like?
I mean, it's just another way to make your offense dynamic and show teams something looks they haven't seen before. So in that respect, yeah, it would be good to have Marvin Mims going, because you can do so many things off of what Marvin Mims gives you when he's not getting the ball. So if the end arounds and the jet sweeps and the deep wheel routes, if you sprinkle those into the game a little bit more, even if you don't hit them, you can hit other concepts based off of those when the defense is being drawn to Marvin Mims because they think the ball's going his way. I get why people are frustrated. I see also why maybe Marvin Mims hasn't had as big a role this year. They're just trying to get the ball to other young receivers in this offense and see what other kind of things they can do. They want the Pat Bryants and the Troy Franklins to get kind of the looks they need for the offensive staff to be able to go, this is what we can count on this guy to do in a high leverage situation. So I am sympathetic to the fact that people want Pat Bryant or Marvin Mims to be a little bit more active in this offense. But, I see why it hasn't happened to this point in the season, maybe to the extent that they would like. And I don't see that necessarily means we won't see it going into the end of the season. We still could.
And I'm going to counter that, because that's what I'm here for, to Puff Oliver Advisor, and say that I think that we made a mistake. And maybe if you look back on this year, we made a mistake by having Troy Franklin being kind of our number 2 guy versus Marvin Mims. I think Marvin Mims is really the number 2 wide receiver, and we have not used him that way. We've taken a lot of shots to Franklin. There's been a lot of times where we kind of trusted Franklin to make some plays, and he hasn't. And all I can think of is back to the Cincinnati game from last year, and Marvin Mims making just some amazing catches. And he can make the contested catches. What he could do in open field. Look at the game last week. everybody thought he was wrapped up. He turns it out and gets out up there. He is a very prolific wide receiver that we're not using the way that we should be. And we have a capability of using him, and I don't know what the case is. And there's a lot that we're probably not seeing. There's probably some practice things. There's probably some scheme things that we're not seeing. He might be a step slower than Troy Franklin in his current timing. I don't know what all that looks like, but I definitely think that using him a little bit more. I agree with getting Pat Bryant a lot more choices because he's been absolutely fantastic. I'm a little disappointed in Troy Franklin. Not in the fact, obviously, I never would say like, oh, he's terrible. Like, he's a great wide receiver. He just has some developmental stuff that he needs to take care of, and he needs to get there, which I think Marvin Mims has. And I think we've been pushing on the other way. We've been pushing too far to get those young guys the touches as opposed to using the guys that we have.
I think that's really fair. And that's kind of what I'm looking at is if I'm trying to figure out, like, why would they continue, as we've seen Troy Franklin kind of maybe get a little better through the course of the year, but still have this issue of drops and just not being good when, in those contested catches situations or things like that. Like, why do we keep going to that? And yeah, we've been winning games, but it's like, have they been trying to just put him in that situation because we've been winning games in hopes that the more experience he gets will continue to help him push that next level? But I think if we're looking at making a serious playoff run here, I think enough's enough, right? Like, dude, I'm not calling you a bust. I'm not saying we're done with you. I think you haven't hit your ceiling yet by any means, but we need to go to somebody who has shown that they're more consistent and more reliable in those situations. And those two players are Pat Bryant and Marvin Mims. So I would not be surprised and I would not be unhappy if we saw less of Troy Franklin the rest of the season. Just, hey, let's let him learn, let him sit on the bench, whatever, and get him an off season. Come back next year with another year under his belt, another off season under his belt, and see what he can do from there. But, you look at, we have Courtland Sutton, and then you have these young guys behind him. The future of the wide receiver corps for the Broncos, I think, is really bright. I think if you look back 2 years ago, it was like if we lost Courtland Sutton, we were screwed, right? 3 years ago, if we lost Courtland Sutton, we would be screwed. He was the number of catches he was getting, the number of touchdowns he was getting. He was the go-to guy, right? But now you're looking at this like, eventually Courtland Sutton's going to have to retire. But when that happens, I don't think we're in any danger of saying, well, now this wide receiver core is subpar or whatever. Yeah, we'd lose a big piece, but they're really coming into their own over week by week. We're seeing this, so I'm really happy with what they're doing.
Courtland Sutton is our Travis Kelce. Like he's our third down, where the ball's going guy, and we don't have that outside of him, and that's the one thing I will say. Now, if we didn't get rid of Tim Patrick, I wouldn't be worried. Dollar in the jar on that one. However,
it's time to let that go, Jared.
I'm not. I will not. I refuse to, and he's doing well, and I'm happy for him. Okay, okay. Be cool. Be cool, David.
Okay, Jared. Okay.
Just want to be cool.
I can't.
I know. But you're right. I think we have a decent wide receiver room, and again, I also, to flip flop on what I said earlier, I do think that Franklin has at least one or two huge catches in the next couple games for the rest of the season. He's going to have a couple big ones that we're like, that's why we got that guy. But it's not consistent, and that's what I think we need right now is the consistency, and eventually it'll all come. And we're just running out of time in the 2025 season, and it's time to put up or shut up, and time to go into the playoffs and win some games and be consistent in that.
Weren't we just talking about the Titans game yesterday? I know I've said it like 3 times, but are we in December, week 15 already? This happens every year, and I'm like, how did we get here? But here we are, guys. We have our closing thoughts coming up soon. Don't go away. We did catch Jared writing his letter to Santa before the show, and we're going to get him to tell you all what is in that letter here after these quick announcements. Again, guys, make sure you go to broncosandbourbon.com, sign up for free. Your one-stop shop to finding all of our latest content between the shows, the podcasts, the videos, and everything like that. Make sure you check out the pregame podcast. So follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and or Stitcher. You can follow us on all those places, or just one, whatever. That's fine. 1 hour before kickoff this next Sunday, we're live with another tailgate talk show. We'll be doing the score prediction challenge in hopes of giving Michael or one of you other fans out there a jersey if you get the score prediction correct. And then we're live at halftime as well. Don't forget about our live post-game podcast on Mondays at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and this show every week on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. But we're going to get into our closing thoughts. And before that, Jared, what are you asking Santa for Christmas this year? Because I know I am very interested.
I think I'm asking for one thing. Hold on as I pull something up.
You got to write a list
Dear
for one
Santa,
thing.
can we just, Kevin, can you just let me do me? Like, be both
You
of you.
started this bit, Kev. You got to let him do the thing.
Yeah, you started this. Dear Santa, all I ask for Christmas this year is a win in Arrowhead and 300 yards from Bo Nix in a win in Arrowhead to shut everybody the hell up about the Broncos not winning against the Chiefs. Thank you, Santa. Also, please don't eat the cookies. I want them for myself. And so I think that's what we're all asking for.
I think that's fair.
I don't know how you didn't get basketball from what I was doing, but that's fine. It's good.
I did. Did you?
No, it works.
You were asking for basketball. Did you like Allen Iverson back on the team? Like, what do you?
You maybe needed some help, so I was giving you an idea, and then you didn't use it, and it made me feel unprioritized. But that's cool. No, it's fine. Yours also good. That's a good thing to ask for. Final thoughts. Final thoughts are I'm very hurt. Man. Very, very hurt. Seriously. I'm really excited, guys, like going into this Packers game because I've just I feel like I've had enough of sharing the doubt of the doubters. I've had enough of the hemming and the hawing about whether or not the Denver Broncos are a good team. I am just excited to see them play against good teams now because I think they're going to be worthwhile matchups. They're going to be good games. And we are going to see the worth of this team going into the stretch of the year. And it makes me really, really happy.
Yeah. It's how can you not be happy sitting here right now? I mean, the Broncos have done way more than anyone expected. The fact that I was looking at 13 wins, thinking that I was probably being overly optimistic. And now it's like, man, if we only get 13 wins, that's bad, right? With where we're sitting right now. So it's very great to be where we're at. But Jared, man, what you got, buddy?
11-2. I just I can't overstate, and as you know, from the coaching side of it, I can't overstate the fact that I'm just so happy that the way that we game plan against teams, and people can be mad about us not blowing them out. They can be mad about us not putting up 30 points against the teams that are losing teams. I'm okay with it, and I'm okay with it because we're not playing up and we're not playing down. We're playing 2, which is what we need going into the playoffs. And it feels like a great place to be. And the fact that we can secure a playoff spot this early in the season, and the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are dethroned, and the fact, all these things just make me so happy. And I just the Broncos are back, baby. And sorry, the last thing I'm going to say, this is the point NFL-wise. This is the point that people are going to look back at and say the Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen era kind of cut off there. And we're now entering the Bo Nix, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels era. And that's it, right? This is where we start that era. And it happens every few years, right? It's kind of like a 5 to 10 year run of a bunch of quarterbacks. And then it kind of okay, those are kind of the old heads. Now let's bring in the new guys and see how they do. And that's what we're going into. And it is also so nice to be in Broncos country and not have to worry about our quarterback situation and know that we have a guy. And it's just a great place to be. I'm just super happy. It's great.
And to add on to that, it's not just that we have the quarterback situation finally figured out. We're not going to have to hear the term quarterback battle for a long time. I mean, the way we're all seeing it, right? And thank God, because how infuriating was that? Every training camp going into it going, we don't know who our starting quarterback's going to be. and who's going to win this battle? Day 3 of camp, this guy won, and day 6 of that camp, this guy won, and who cares? Like, it's just so messed up. So on top of that, though, we have the coaching staff as well. There's talk about, we're going to have to wait to see what Vance Joseph does. I am just really hoping he decides to stay, right? At least for a while, because it's working so well. But Sean Payton has done an incredible job, not just focusing on building the culture, but a huge part of that is getting the right people in place. And it's not just necessarily his people, but it's the people that are right for the things that the Broncos needed at that time and where we're at right now. So he's done a great job, and the front office has done a great job. The ownership has done everything that we could have asked him to do. And so everything that we've needed from the Broncos in, the years after the Super Bowl, we're finally seeing them put the pieces together. And this is what it looks like. And this is what we've been dying to see. So, there's people out there saying, the Broncos don't have a chance to win on Sunday. I'm saying, like, you keep counting us out. And it's, if anything, it's fuel to the fire for these Broncos players. And they're ready to go. They know what and who they're playing for. And they're going to keep pushing forward. Even if they lose, this is a team that knows how to dust off the cobweb, the dust, get back on their feet, and move forward to the next week and get another win under their belt then. So we will definitely see what that looks like. But guys, I'm just saying, we might have several playoff game shows that we're going to be doing this offseason, and I am here for it. So if you guys are sick of hearing our voices, guess what? We're not going away anytime soon.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because you were talking about, like, maybe we'll do a playoff game where we do like a live watch. If it's in Denver, we're not doing a live watch. Y'all are going to be at the game. So maybe I'll be sitting here drinking my ass off here in California, Southern California, with you guys. But I hope you guys go to those games, because loving a home field, a home playoff game just sounds like lovely to me right now. And I will say, Kev, I know you asked me this, and there's been a couple questions in here, and I will answer it. So first of all, Keith, come on, man. Come on, be cool. Be cool, man. No, that's not happening.
No, he won't.
But I will say, because Michael, I will say, oops, that's not the combo. Where is it? I think it was Mike that was asking, right? Where's it at?
Right there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, and Mike, I feel bad that you didn't win the jersey last week, and there's a lot of talk about how the fact that they play in Vegas and we had a plus 6.5. And then they cut that down so that if you had the plus 6.5, you'd lose it, whatever it is. I feel bad for you for not getting it, but I'm a command senior chief in the United States Navy. Currently a command senior chief of USS Tulsa out here in San Diego.
Yeah. If one of these years before too long, you just don't see Jared back anytime soon, it's because he's at the Pentagon, literally running the enlisted side of the Navy. Would not be surprised if that happens. So, and in all honesty, I'm not kidding about that, Jared.
It's in there. It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. So, okay, guys. Look, some more questions coming in. I love the questions. I wish we had another hour here with you guys to break it down more, but don't worry, we will be back Sunday, game day, 1 hour for kickoff. Make sure you listen to the pregame podcast as well on all those podcast platforms. Jared, David, you guys have been fantastic as always. Everybody in the comments, you guys, all of our fans, you guys are why we do this. So appreciate all of your love and support as we keep going through this journey. Obviously, sticking with the Broncos during all those down years are making this even more sweet as we go through it. So, Jose, man, I hope we can continue to string those W's along, just like you've been doing every single week. That list keeps getting longer and longer. I absolutely love it, man. So let's get ready for it, guys. Enjoy the second part of your week. Get ready for this game. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a close one, but I'm betting on my Broncos, as they've shown week in and week out the last 11 weeks in a row. But guys, I got nothing left to say other than end this show right here, as we always do, with a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Take care, guys. We will see you later. Right, and I go with the flow. Yeah, I go with the flow. Yeah, I go with the flow. 'Cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go.